So, the Jake Paul versus Raheem, uh, Jake Paul's press conference was today, and my thoughts. I think Jake lost this. We learned some interesting tidbits that Jake ran away from his sparring from Rahman Jr., which is very similar to what Deadly would do, and I was like, Jake Paul is like Deadly? What? Yeah, like that. Won him the press conference, and it furthered it when Jake refused to release the footage and didn't dispute it. This guy was talking nothing but facts. What I loved about Tyron Woodley is he spoke nothing but hardcore facts about Jake Paul, and in this case, the guy was speaking facts. He was telling people just factual information, and so I really love that about him. And yeah, man, I don't know why Jake would, it kind of backfired on Jake, and that whole shtick of making bets did not work on him. So overall, I'm very happy with the way this press conference went, and I think that, again, Jake lost it, but that, again, is no indicator for the real fight. To win this fight, I mean, yeah, he can, anything's possible, and you never bet against Jake, you never bet against KSI, you never bet against the YouTuber, but, this press conference was not his to win. Although a concerning thing about Junior is that his dad said, like, straight up, he hasn't prepared for his fights, and he wasn't as good as he could have been, and so that's kind of concerning, because if there's one thing that Jake does better than any of his opponents, it's working harder than them and wanting it more, and that's what it might come down to, and I just hope this guy is actually putting in the work this time and does not treat Jake as anything but the biggest threat to his career, because he is the biggest threat to his career. And yeah, the press conference was fiery, it was engaging, it was fun, and again, I think that, Jake did lose this because of the one comment about, him running away from sparring, and again, the guy stated facts. It's like, Jake Paul hasn't really fought anyone, and the fact that he's even here is so stupid, or the fact that he thinks that he's beating incredible guys, because, again, like I've said, like Ben Askren, Nate, Gibb, they were all YouTubers at the end of the day. I know Ben and Nate and Tyron were all, like, professionals, but when you look at their boxing skills, they are at the level of a YouTuber. And the only real and, like, Jake has had no competitive fights except Tyron Woodley. Before that, KSI had tougher fights than Jake. And that was with Logan Paul, the YouTuber. I'd say now Jake and KSI are at the same level of competition. I don't think Jake's faced tougher competition than KSI. And I'm not even worried about getting hate, because people don't care about Jake Paul because no one even watches the videos anymore. So I don't even care anymore. And, yes, I think Tyron was as tough as Logan, but he wasn't, like, 10 times better, 10 times worse, and I give Jake credit for knocking out Woodley, for staying in there, but we gotta be sensible. The guy was a punching bag, who was very competent, but was kind of not really caring if he won or lost, and that's a big thing with Jake's opponents, is they don't really care, they're just in it for the money, because they have a legacy to go back on if they need to, and that's something Jake doesn't have, which is why KSI is such a perfect opponent. Also, we found out that Jake Paul was lying about the Ben Askren numbers, like I said, and no one believed me, where it was actually 500K instead of 1.6 million. Now, 500K for Ben and Tyron are not bad, but they are disappointing and underwhelming compared to Jake in the way he promotes himself. You would think he does over 1 million, and like KSI's fights with Logan, his 2 fights with Logan, did more pay-per-view buys than any of Jake Paul's fights. Yes, they were cheaper, but still, like, Tyson Fury's fights are $70, and they get 800K pay-per-view buys, even for the Wilder 3 fight, which nobody wanted, and so, for Jake, he should be doing a high of 1,900,000, lowest 700K, and maybe a flop of 600. But, like, 500 is, like, disappointing, and I think he clearly was a disappointment to Showtime. And then, we got confirmation that the second fight did 200K, which is just so embarrassing that it did, like, almost the same business as Social Gloves, and that was even more money than Jake versus Tyron. At the end of the day, a pay-per-view star, even if they switch opponents, even if there's so many movies, like, you can't make any excuses. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, KSI, no matter what, they'll get the buys, they'll get the fans, it just goes to show that Jake is not all that. And the fact that him saying, oh, Conor, you're not the same level as me, is just so stupid, because Jake, Conor is levels above you in every division, especially business. And yeah, man, it's just, I'm glad that we're seeing the truth of Jake Paul, and that he's manipulated all of you into being sheep and believing everything he says, and then when someone goes against the grain like I do, you all attack me and say I'm biased. I respect Jake for taking this fight. If he wins, he would win. Like, I I don't care. Like, but it's like, you know, I can tell, like, his delusion of who he is has made you guys delusioned, if you can't see that already. And the fact so is that, like, if he's running away from people and sparring, that makes so much more sense. And that just goes to show that the Paul's Achilles heels are cardio and mentality. And that's something that KSI and most boxers have over them. And so, it's just Jake Paul's getting more and more exposed, and I'm loving it, and I'm here for it. And basically everything that they said in this conference, I've been saying for over a year, and no one's believed me until now about the level of opponents, that he's got yes men in his camp, that he's not being pushed to the level that he should be, and if he's running from people in sparring, that is a huge problem, and obviously the size, which is huge too. But yeah, guys, those are my thoughts. Like, sub, and comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.